So this is me back in the day, you know, so you understand where my headspace and timing is on everything, you know. And I think that was 200 years ago. Hi, my name is Jason Woods and welcome to Chasing the Apex. So if you're new to the channel, do me a favor, man, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the comment below or dislike, whatever you want to do. I'm Jason Woods, I'm your host. I'm the guy that looks like Uncle Fester, has a face for radio, and just kind of rambles on. So for all those of you that are returning, hey man, it's good to see you. I'm trying to get you guys back on schedule, back on that Wednesday schedule, and try to add an additional vlog on Saturday. So that's what you got me doing here on Wednesdays. You got me releasing 2 vlogs in a row to keep you guys back on schedule. But I'm gonna answer some questions because questions are rolling in very, very quickly. And I'm trying to answer them the best I can. But since you guys like the vlog format, I'm gonna try to answer all questions in a vlog format. So my first question, right, is, hey, you know, why do you prefer a manual transmission? Well, I prefer a manual transmission for some types of driving. So in a spirited fashion, I prefer the manual transmission. And here's why. Because I can feel what the car is doing and I can control it. So it's not that DCT is not good. DCT is actually really good and it's much faster than I would ever be. It'll shift faster, it'll downshift faster, it'll rev match on its own, the vehicles of the modern time. But it takes away from the experience from me and it takes away from the connection. So I do like manual transmissions, and you know, God, I hope that, you know, we still make them. You know, there's a few brands that still make them. I'm not going to mention them. I've already mentioned them 100 times. In Europe, they're very popular, so you guys are really lucky if you're a European driver and you have like a Renault Clio, you know, or a Golf GTI that's in manual, man, you have my envy. All right, so that's the first question, right? Why do I prefer this to that? But I don't always prefer this to that, right? So, because I enjoy them too. I enjoy the DCT and I enjoy paddle shifting as well. But it is a different experience and it is a different engagement. It doesn't mean I don't like it. That just means it's different. So if I'm gonna be a guy with one car in my garage to go out and play with on the trackers and twisty bit of road, I prefer a manual. If I have multiple cars, well, I prefer a DCT and a manual. But if I'm gonna drive like long distance, like, hey, I'm gonna put in, let's say I wanna put in 1,000 miles, right? Because I'm gonna go visit someplace, I prefer an automatic, and I want all those creature comforts. I want, you know, the infotainment system that came from the movie theater. I'd be interested in that. But for some spirited driving, I don't care what the radio is. I don't care, you know, I don't care about, you know, what accoutrements it has. I mean, it'd be nice if it had air conditioning, but depending on location, or a heater depending on location, but outside of that, I don't really care. I care about the experience that the car brings to me, or the experience that it shares with me. And I make cars sound very human, I know that, because I believe there's an emotional experience attached to that, and in driving in a spirited fashion. And there's an emotional experience in getting together with other people from all walks of life that just enjoy cars. You don't necessarily have to enjoy the same car I do. You know, I've seen people that don't even like each other's cars, but you know, they get along. You know, car people are just generally very friendly people. Okay, that's the first question. Second question is, why don't I do matchups? Okay, here's why I don't do matchups, right? Because I've been asked a lot, like, because the Lotus video is getting the Lotus series is getting a lot of traffic, for me anyways. What about the Lotus and the 4C, Jason? Can you give us a comparison? I will not. I love them both individually, independently, in different ways. Now, so I think I've made my feelings on the Alfa Romeo very clear and the Lotus very clear, and I love them both. Both are very engaging cars. But I don't want to match them up. I don't want to do that. They're very different cars. So I'm not going to get in like a C7 Corvette and then match it against a Lotus, or a C7 Corvette and then match it against an Alfa. They're very unique creatures, almost human, in that they have characteristics that are both appealing. So that's why I don't do matchups. You do have a matchup coming. We're gonna get a good friend of mine, and he's gonna do a matchup for us. So he's gonna do our SUV matchup. I'm gonna host, but he's gonna do our SUV matchup. And we also have some other exciting things coming. So, you know, we have some big American coming with a big V8, might be in the middle. And we have some JDM coming, and we definitely have some more British coming. So, you know, if you don't know me, I love British cars. I just love them. But I also love Italian cars. Italian cars are works of art, right? So, I mean, if you were to look at something like the 33 Stradale or, I just think that is one of the most beautiful vehicles ever made. The Alpha 8C is just a work of art, and, it just sounds amazing. But, I mean, even seeing one in a lifetime is just really shocking, right? I love Porsches, I love Ferraris. I don't really have a lot of experience with Lamborghini, so I can't comment on that. People keep asking me like, hey, what do you think of Lamborghini? The answer is I don't have a lot of experience with them. I don't know. I can say that a lot of people love them, and a lot of people love them for different reasons. So some love to drive them, and some love to go hang out at Starbucks. Not for me to judge, man. It's your car. Do what you're gonna do. But I haven't experienced one. I haven't been around one in enough time to really provide any kind of feedback on it. So, when you see me say something like, I haven't had enough time to get to know her, it's because I really feel like I'm getting to know the vehicle. And people love their vehicles, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. There's an emotion that over time that grows with your vehicle. So if I was to get into something like, let's say, just the aesthetics of a vehicle, I think the Testarossa is beautiful. But somebody would argue with me though. Somebody would say, oh, the Testarossa was hideous. And I would say, no, during my time, I thought it was beautiful. Or the Ferrari LaFerrari. I mean, it's absolutely just a classic styling. And I would say that's what supercars are made of now. Do I think the C8 is beautiful? I do. But I like the C7 too. And really my favorite Corvette is going to be the C3. Love the C3. I think it has the most elegant lines to it. And I'm sure it's a terrible driver. I've never had the opportunity to drive one, but I'm sure it's terrible. But it's beautiful. And would I want to drive one? Yeah, it's a boulevard cruiser. Love to. The C6 Corvette, I think it's one of the most beautiful cars ever made. But when we talk about these things, when we talk about like, why don't I do this or why don't I do that? You guys do deserve an explanation. Why don't I do matchups? Because it's unfair. Because I'm gonna get in any car and find something I love about it. It's just kind of the way I am. I do just love cars, and I do love driving. More importantly, I love driving. And so what does driving represent to me? Driving represents freedom, and it represents solace. I mean, obviously, cars aren't the only thing I do. I do have other hobbies, I do have other interests, I read, So, yeah, I do have other hobbies and other interests. But driving represents a moment of solace, a moment of reflection for me, a moment of emotion, where I can kind of create the world into my own reality. It's a moment where I can reflect on what's going on, and it's a center of gravity for me. And that means I like all kinds of driving. That means I like driving Twisty Bits Road. That means I like going to the track, love track days. That means I love cross-country driving. It means I love sightseeing. It means I love, almost all of it. I've never been drag racing, can't speak to it. I know there's a lot of skill and talent that goes into it. I've just never done it. And it's a different skill and talent, I'm sure, than I'm familiar with. But anyways, you guys want answers to these questions, and here you go. So just a quick vlog this week talk about some pretty cars and why I don't do some of the things you want me to do, or you're asking me why I don't do those things. Because I don't think it's reasonable. I can't get in the BMW i8 and then match it to, I don't know, a Mustang GT. It's not a reasonable comparison. It's unfair to you, it's unfair to the brand.